What's happening, y'all? Welcome inside the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Bush coming at you solo today with another Tale of the Tape episode. Today, we are talking about Sam Howell, quarterback from the North Carolina Tarheels. In this video, we're going to be covering the story of Sam Howell, everything from his freshman year to now into the draft process. As I'm recording this right now, it's Wednesday, March 2nd. The combine is in full effect. Apparently, Sam Howell's being asked to shoot hoops at the Philadelphia Eagles team meetings. What we're going to be talking about in this video, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, like the video if you enjoy, comment any of your thoughts down below. We're going to be covering the fantasy prospects for Dynasty rookie drafts for Sam Howell in this video. If you guys want more rookie content, Dynasty content, check out the Patreon. Link is down in the description as well. Now, without further ado, let's hit the intro. Quarterback of the North Carolina Tar Heels, aged 21.4 years old, 6 foot, 221 pounds. Those are official measurements because he was in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Basic information, we'll start with Sam Howell as a recruiting prospect out of high school. He was a 4-star recruit. He was the 3rd-rated dual-threat quarterback in the 2019 recruiting class from Monroe, North Carolina. He stayed within the state, went to the University of North Carolina. Sam Howell started all 3 seasons he was at UNC, including as a true freshman, when he threw for 9.7 adjusted air yards per attempt and a 38-7 touchdown interception ratio as a 19-year-old true freshman. Very, very impressive start to his college career. That got him on the fantasy radar immediately after that. Devy people and Dynasty players were excited about Sam Howell after that freshman season. Comes out as a true sophomore, and he built upon that. He had a phenomenal season in 2020, completing over 68% of his passes and throwing for 30 touchdowns, only 7 picks, 3,600 yards on only 348 attempts as well in 12 games played. His final season as a junior, when he's fully draft eligible now, I'm sure you guys all know the story by now. He loses Dyami Brown, who's now a member of the Washington Commanders. He loses Daz Newsome, who's on the Chicago Bears. He loses Broncos running back Javonte Williams, Jets running back Michael Carter. He lost a lot of his dudes. He's left with a talented sophomore wide receiver in Josh Downs and a running back transfer in Ty Chandler to help him move the offense. Needless to say, though, he struggled his final year, and that's why Sam Howell isn't universally recognized as the quarterback 1 in this class. He boasted just a 24-9 touchdown interception ratio in 2021, his lowest adjusted yards per attempt of his career at 9.0, which is still solid, but a far cry from the 9.7 as a freshman and the 10.3 he had in 2020. So here's the thing. I think that 2019, 2020 Sam Howell can be coached up. I think he's still within the player. And I promise you, if Howell had come out last year, if he had been draft eligible last year, he would have been a first rounder guaranteed. He would have been among those top quarterbacks that we had last year. 3 years of starting experience against ACC level competition, 10 games against ranked opponents, posting a 4-6 record in those games, and a narrow loss by 1 to teams like Clemson in 2019 as a true freshman playing against the Trevor Lawrence-led Clemson Tigers. He only lost by 1 point in that game, played very well. The big question I have for Sam Howell basically is, what do NFL teams think about him? Because we're in the combine right now. We're getting him, posted up for interviews and all that stuff. And I want to know what the NFL teams are thinking of Sam Howell. Are they going to draft this guy in the 1st round? Are they going to draft him in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round? Whatever the case is, that is the biggest question mark with Sam Howell right now. But let's start with the 6 fundamental traits for fantasy quarterbacks. I'm going to give a brief overview of each trait, why it's important, how we can quantify it, and also who exemplifies it best in the NFL that you'll see on the screen right now. Number 1 is accuracy, right? How accurate is Sam Howell? Anything from ball placement to his footwork to his mechanics, accuracy when he's throwing off platform, all that stuff kind of goes into accuracy. And Sam Howell's accuracy is really hard to gauge because watching his 2020 tape, like I said, he completed over 68% of his passes. It's very, very easy to mark off this as a plus, because if you just watch his 2020 tape, you'd be like, this is an accurate quarterback, accuracy in spades, because he exhibits very good fundamentals, ball placement, footwork, and his ability to stay accurate on the run as well. He is a baseball player by, background as well. So that kind of comes out when he's playing the quarterback position. You'll see a clip of him throwing basically a moonball to Dyami Brown on the screen right now, where he gets to his drop really quickly, sets his feet, and uncorks it. And that's really the good of Sam Howell. That's what you can expect when everything is going right for him. The bad is that in 2021, it suffered. His accuracy really, really suffered. Receivers weren't separating outside of Josh Downs, and the run game wasn't nearly as effective as it was with Javonte Williams and Michael Carter onto the NFL. Sam Howell wasn't able to connect on as many deep balls as he did in 2020 without De'Ami Brown on the field. And I don't want to make excuses for him, but it's very, very clear to me that this guy was trying to 1v11 out there most of the time. And it didn't really work out in some certain circumstances, but he did play tough. He did play, competitive despite having a less than stellar team around him. Like I said, outside of Josh Downs and Ty Chandler, who are on to the NFL in the next couple of years. Over the entire sample of his career, though, he ranks third in catchable pass percentage with 83.7% of his targets basically being deemed to be catchable, 75.7% of those throws being on target. So not just catchable, but actually accurate throws, which ranks third among quarterbacks in both metrics among the top quarterbacks in this class this year. In 2020, though, Sam Howell's catchable target rate of 88.6, which is significantly higher, about 5% higher than it was in 2021, was up there with last year's quarterback class. It was only 0.2% lower than Trevor Lawrence's catchable target rate, and it was sixth best in the entire country. So, like I said, in 2020, he was a very accurate quarterback. 2021, his accuracy suffered definitely a little bit. Framework is definitely there. It's really up to his future NFL team to be able to coach that out of him and coach that up in his game because his accuracy is something that definitely needs some development, but it is definitely there. The framework is there. Now let's move on to arm talent, which is usually not something that you can develop as easily at the next level. But thankfully for Sam Howell, he has a live arm, man. Not special like Josh Allen's or Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, but it is very good. You'll see a number of plays of him making plays outside the pocket, taking big hits and throwing downfield. He's got good velocity, good touch, good anticipation when he throws the ball. Over his career, Sam Howell's 7.1% big time throw percentage, which is a PFF metric that basically just measures how difficult the throw is. So if it's under a certain percentage chance of being completed, it's considered a big time throw. His 7.1% big time throw percentage ranks second in the class, only to Malik Willis. And in my opinion, it's clear that he has some ceiling in this area that coaches will be really intrigued by. And we've seen, the past couple drafts, the quarterbacks that are making a difference for their NFL teams have this arm talent factor. And we know this is a copycat league in the NFL. And a lot of these coaches are going to want their own Justin Herbert. They're going to want their own Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whatever quarterback that you want to, pigeonhole into having a great arm. They're going to see that in Sam Howell and be intrigued by that fact. So that's definitely a big time plus in his category. We also love that for fantasy too, because it leads to a lot of big plays. Number 3, the thing we love most for fantasy because it equals the most fantasy production is mobility, right? The Konami code factor, Lamar Jackson types have this in spades. This is the criminally underrated part of Sam Howell's game. Now, the Baker Mayfield comparison that everybody is going to have for Sam Howell, and spoiler alert, it's the one I have for Sam Howell as well. Baker Mayfield is not nearly as athletic as Sam Howell, in my opinion. And when you guys look at the noted Konami quarterbacks that are currently starting in the NFL right now, you have Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Trey Lance, who's going to be starting next year, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, all these dudes. Look at their career highs in rushing numbers in college. Sam Howell had 1,106 rushing yards this year, which is higher than the career high of Dak Prescott. It's higher than Kyler Murray's. It's higher than Justin Herbert's, higher than Josh Allen's, higher than Justin Fields. This dude was running the ball at a high level this year, 8.1 yards per carry, 1,106 rushing yards on the season on only 137 attempts. Like, this dude can run. It's not just something that he can do. It's something that he really should do in the NFL as well. Is he going to rush for 1,000 yards in the NFL as well? No, probably not. And I highly doubt he'll rush the ball as effectively as a guy like Malik Willis, who's also in this quarterback class, but he can rush for 500, 600 yards, post 6, 7, 8 rushing touchdowns on the season. And that can put him in the Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson category level of rushing threat at the next level. Some people are going to make the lazy comp that, his rushing production won't translate to the next level the way that Malik Willis is will. But I do think this guy is elusive. I do think he has got a lot of ability in this area. His PFF elusive rating is higher than Malik Willis's, meaning he was making people miss at a higher rate than Malik Willis was doing it. So this dude can run. The mobility is also going to help him develop as a passer as well, because when you get to the NFL and things are moving too fast for you, if you have the fail safe that you can just tuck it and run, that really helps your development as a player and your processing and stuff like that. We saw it from Josh Allen really early on in his career. He was giving us fantasy production and fantasy value simply by the fact that he could run, even though he wasn't a good passer yet. Russell Wilson did it early in his career as well. Justin Herbert, his rookie season as well. Does he have the passing ceiling of all the guys that I just mentioned? I don't know. I have no idea. But if he gets in the right environment and works hard, like I think he will, I do think that all the tools are there for him to be a productive NFL and fantasy quarterback. Now, moving on to efficiency, and this is basically a blanket statement for just creating positive plays, moving the offense, creating first downs, scoring points, etc., and limiting the negative plays. So fumbles, interceptions, turnover-worthy plays. Are you an asset to your team or not? And a common theme that I noticed with Sam Howell, and obviously I've mentioned this already, is that in 2020, he was really, really good in this area. In 2021, he was not so good in this area. But here is where his experience showed, because over the course of his entire college career, 3 years starting in a Power 5 conference like the ACC, where you're playing Notre Dame, Clemson, other competitive teams every year, you understand what you can and can't get away with. Starting as many games as he started, over 1,000 career pass attempts on his resume, you understand what you can get away with. And his college quarterback rating of 79.3 ranks in the 70th percentile. College yards per attempt is in the 95th percentile, best among quarterbacks in this class at 9.1 yards per attempt. His breakout age, which doesn't really matter for quarterbacks, but it is notable that he was able to take his job by the balls, basically, and start from the beginning of his college career, 91st percentile in the breakout age category, career PFF passing grade, best of 91.5 in 2020, definitely took a dip in 2021, dipped down in about to the 80.3 range, but his career best is the highest in the class, and passer rating of 111.7 over the course of his career is also the highest among the top 6 quarterbacks in this class as well. Of the top 6 quarterbacks, his 2.7 turnover worthy play rate is second lowest only to Carson Strong. And again, keep in mind that Sam Howell pushes the ball downfield. His average depth of target is the highest in the class among all quarterbacks and the top quarterbacks included. And it's nearly 2 yards longer than Carson Strong's average depth of target. So this guy's pushing the ball downfield, and he's also making good decisions when he's doing it. Of course, you're going to see some plays here and there where he misreads a coverage and he gets picked off or something like that. But the framework is there for this guy to be a productive and efficient quarterback at the next level. Number 5 is playmaking and deep passing. Kind of goes hand in hand with arm talent and accuracy. His entire skill set as a quarterback, though, is dependent on making out of structure plays, which basically equals a high ceiling for both fantasy purposes and for actual NFL quarterback play. This is why you draft this dude in the first round if you're an NFL team, right? Because he has this playmaking, deep passing ability that we just saw a young quarterback in Joe Burrow make it to the Super Bowl because he has this ability as well. Like I said, for Malik Willis as well, this is the Houdini factor that he can provide you inside the pocket, outside the pocket, whatever. And also, like I said, for Malik Willis, I also lump in how good of a deep passer you are into this playmaking category. Sam Howell's highest average depth of target in the class, like I mentioned, and over the course of his career, it's the highest average depth of target compared to the rest of the quarterbacks in this class. He's second only to Willis in percentage of throws downfield. So 20 plus yard throws, he was throwing the ball over 20% of the time downfield. And his deep passer rating is second only to Desmond Ridder in this class as well. So he's throwing the ball downfield often, and he's throwing the ball downfield effectively as well. So high ceiling type of production for fantasy. The 6th and final fundamental trait of fantasy quarterbacks is handling pressure. And as much praise as I've heaped on Sam Howell already, here comes some more, because he's very good in this department as well. He's able to handle pressure like a veteran. He's able to stand in, step up in the pocket, evade a rusher, step into a throw and take a big hit and still deliver an accurate pass. And I was really, really impressed on film with how often I saw this. It was time and time again. This guy was under heavy pressure. His offensive line was not good at North Carolina, and he was able to either evade the pressure and run or stand in, keep his eyes downfield and throw the ball downfield pretty accurately as well. The problem, again, common theme is that he wasn't as good in 2021 in this category as he was in 2020. In 2020, he averaged an absolutely stupid 11.7 yards per attempt against pressure. Another big reason why he would have been a top quarterback if he was eligible last year to come out, but he still averaged the second most yards per attempt against pressure this season, even despite a down season in his college numbers. So the fact that he was still able to perform under pressure despite facing more of it and having worse talent around him is definitely still impressive. 75.0 passing grade versus pressure is his career passing grade. For reference, Malik Willis's overall passing grade this season was 77.7. So he was only like 2.5 points down below Malik Willis's passing grade overall against all situations, as Sam Howell being pressured on every single play. So that's just how good this guy is under pressure. I'm sure you guys are seeing a number of clips right now of him stepping up in the pocket, making throws downfield, evading tacklers and getting outside the pocket. Everything he does handling pressure is very, very impressive. It is his best trait in my opinion, and it goes kind of hand in hand with his mobility as well and his playmaking ability. Now, the intangibles, the red flags, personality stuff, some of this stuff that I can't quantify because I can't sit down with Sam Howell, work him out on a whiteboard and, get to talk and understand his leadership and his toughness and all that stuff. But basically, to summarize, in terms of his intangibles, we have a 3-year starter who won the job as a true freshman, which is a green flag. It probably indicates he's a good leader of some kind because you don't win a job as a true freshman if you're a shitty leader and you have a shitty personality. According to him and his teammates too, without some of the pieces that left for the NFL, De'Ami Brown, Javonte Williams, etc., apparently his leadership developed. And he said this along with his teammates. Again, big step in the right direction, green flag number 2. Even though he was at the Senior Bowl as well, he's not actually a senior. He's a true junior in terms of class. He's a senior in the fact that he graduated early. Now, I don't know if that means he's some genius or something like that, but the reason he was eligible to be at the Senior Bowl is because he graduated early, not because he's actually a senior or a redshirt junior or anything. He's a true junior, 21-year-old player right now. The red flags, on the other hand, the things that a lot of people are going to have problems with Sam Howell. And again, you guys have heard me say this before. I'm just a dude on YouTube. I'm not an NFL scout. I don't know the ins and outs and the nuance of some of these concepts and processing and, which read he's throwing on and all this stuff. But the red flags that I've seen from other scouts are the fact that he plays in a spread offense, which is typically very quarterback friendly to play in. It's going to take him some time to develop at the next level because of that. His ability to process quickly, get off of his first read is a concern for a lot of NFL scouts. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust his experience. The fact that he played 3 years, the IQ is clearly there if he graduated early. He's exhibited, some of the qualities that we're expecting out of a first-round quarterback. And I do think this is a first-round quarterback. I don't know how the NFL values him, but let's get into final grades. And like I said, based on a scale of 1,100, as I grade on, I have a 908.75 on Sam Howell, or an early second-round grade. Now, he's a quarterback, so he's going to get bumped up naturally in the actual NFL draft. But he's currently my quarterback 1 in the class. I haven't watched Corral or Pickett yet, but I prefer Sam Howell to Willis simply because Sam Howell has a lot more there than Malik Willis does. Does Malik Willis have a higher ceiling? Probably, but I don't think that Sam Howell has a low ceiling. I think that because of his mobility, because of his arm talent, he has a high ceiling as well, but Malik Willis is just better in those categories. So he has a higher ceiling overall, but Sam Howell is way more accurate as of right now. He has way better mechanics, way better footwork, a lot more green flags, longer, term as a starter, didn't have to transfer away from a school. Willis has the 1,000-yard rushing upside at the next level. But like I said, Howell provides more of that middle ground, that 600 to 800 yards in terms of mobility. And he has way more developed as a passer as it stands right now. Last year, if you talk about where he's graded right now among the class last year, Sam Howell would have been my quarterback 5, just ahead of Mac Jones, but behind the top 4 guys. Due to the ceiling aspects for fantasy, I would prefer Sam Howell to Mac Jones coming out of school. But obviously, Mac Jones was much more developed in a couple other areas than Sam Howell. Now, in terms of pro comparisons, I already kind of spoiled it, but Baker Mayfield is every human being on planet Earth's comparison for Sam Howell. And I'm basically going to succumb to peer pressure here and also go with Baker Mayfield as my comparison. I do think he is a lot like Baker Mayfield. The way they play, the size, 6 foot, 220 pounds. He's kind of built like a running back, but the differences between the two guys is that Baker was definitely more accurate in college. That is undeniable. Baker Mayfield's best attribute coming out of college was accuracy. It's the reason some people compared him like Drew Brees and stuff. But Sam Howell is a lot younger coming out of college than Baker was. Baker Mayfield had transferred schools. He was like a redshirt senior, and they had similar starting experience, even though Sam Howell has only been in college for 3 years. And Sam Howell, like I said, is a much better athlete than Baker Mayfield. I think he's better at escaping the pocket. I think he's better at running. I think he's also better at throwing on the run and stuff. But in terms of their arms, the way that they play the game, and some of the concerns that we have for them, I do think the comparison is pretty valid. And you guys can see this player card on the screen. These are available on Patreon if you want to sign up over there. Best fits, scheme or team. And remember what I talked about with Malik Willis. The position itself, quarterback, is more subject to change than others, running backs, wide receivers, etc., based on landing spot, because the quarterback position is very, very complex. It's very dependent on where you go. The coaching staff, franchise, ownership, weapons, protection around you is going to determine how successful you are at the next level. It's the reason I was very high on Trey Lance last year, and the reason I'm still high on Trey Lance right now. And the fact that I was lower on Trevor Lawrence last year is because of that landing spot factor. And also draft capital is going to be a big, big part of Sam Howell's outlook, because I don't know where this guy's going to go in the NFL draft. I don't know if he's going to go in the top 10. I don't know if he's going to go in the top 20. I don't know if he's going to go in the first round altogether. I don't know if he's going to be a day 2 pick altogether. I really have no idea what NFL teams are thinking about Sam Howell. According to playerprofiler.com right now, they have a mock draft index, basically aggregates mock drafts across multiple sites among the industry. It has him going at an average of 15.6. So on average, this guy's about a mid first round pick, and that draft capital is definitely enough for me to have him as my quarterback one if he does indeed get drafted in the mid first round somewhere. Howell is currently my quarterback one in the class, but he will definitely go down if he goes round 3 to like the Bills or something like that. But if the Bucks, who I think is the best team fit for him, trade up to 17 or something in the draft to get ahead of the New Orleans Saints and pick him, then obviously he's going to stay my quarterback one. The best scheme and team fits for him are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He would be perfect for that scheme. He has the deep passing nature that of his, high average depth of target, and the fact that he's very effective passing downfield. Solid O-line in front of him. Despite Ali Marpet retiring, it's still a plus in the Bucs landing spot for a quarterback. And I know for a fact that Bruce Arians and Jason Light value experience in their quarterbacks and their young quarterbacks. So they're going to like the fact that this was a 3-year starter with a big arm and he's mobile. If he doesn't go with the Bucs, I do think Washington makes a lot of sense for him as well. Similar to what I said with Malik Willis. They know how to use a mobile quarterback with Ron Rivera, having worked with Cam Newton. The Detroit Lions, I think, are also a good landing spot, good offensive line, a couple good weapons around Sam Howell as well if he were to be drafted there, as well as the Denver Broncos, who he's reportedly meted with already at the Combine. He already talks about that in his interview. So again, I have no idea how the NFL is going to value this dude, but if this is a first-round quarterback, I'm going to be very in on this guy for Superflex rookie drafts. I'm going to be drafting this dude in the top 6 overall picks of Superflex rookie drafts because he can run. He's a quarterback. He plays a premium position, and he'll be right up there in that first tier with those elite wide receivers for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hit the like button if you enjoyed. Comment any of your thoughts down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the Patreon if you want access to our Dynasty rankings. These player cards that I showed for Sam Howell, we have them for a ton of other prospects. A lot more coming soon. We'll also have, spreadsheets covering all the workout metrics for all these players as well. If you want a quick answer to where these guys tested and all that stuff, that will be available on Patreon as well. So peace out, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.